This is NDTV. And you're watching NDTV Prime. In association with Micromax. Nothing like anything.
The session started with a keynote by Tarun Seth, Managing Director, Hitachi Systems Micro Clinic.
Hitachi Micro Clinic is known for services. This is our forte. So whatever we sell today and with whatever OEMs we do business with, we are their solution provider as well as the service provider. So we at Hitachi also take the initiative that we go to the customer, understand what he wants and try to convert the CapEx into OpEx so that the hit to the organization in terms of capital expenditure is not there. The security landscape is changing. It is not only limited to your organization. It's a global issue because today you don't get mails from within the organization. You get mails from across the globe, whether they are your vendors or your customers. There are so many security threats in the environment. Like today, people leave the organization, they threat the organization if either they pay or they will disrupt or steal their data and sell their data to their competitors. So you need security for all this, and this is where we come in. Hitachi coming in, we just have established a NOC, right, which is a 16-seater NOC which works 24/7. And through that, which is connected to our Yokohama data center and which works 24/7. And when we said NOC, Hitachi globally is known for its NOC because they have their own patents. And those patents are now being used by us in India for our India customers.
Interestingly, on November 11th, and for those of you who don't know what November 11th is, it's supposed to be the Singles Day in China. Okay, I didn't know something like that existed. Alibaba recorded the world's highest single day transactions to $9.3 billion. Now that is the magnitude of digital revolution. And digital revolution is impacting each and every one of us alike. So let me pause here for a minute and actually before we open it up to the panelists, take some very quick questions that you may have in the audience.
My question is on advanced targeted attacks. We are seeing more and more of this. So obviously it's going to increase. Is it a bigger threat for the digital companies or is it equally applicable for the traditional companies as well?
We'll take one more and then roll on with the panel. Yes, please.
I would like to ask the panel, the way the cloud is becoming so pervasive today, what is the impact on security? Could you please cover that? How security used to be delivered earlier and now in the cloud-based scenario, what is happening?
How do you see infrastructure in a cloud, in cloud and in a environment which is not bounded? What is happening from an infrastructure standpoint which is going to help digital revolution in a secure manner?
With the advent of cloud, the advent of mobile phones, the tablets, now there aren't any borders, right? So you really have to relook at what your security strategy should be, how you want to take it to the market, what kind of information do you want to make it available for the people to use, and how do you want to secure it? So the whole landscape has changed, and as rightly said, the guys like Intel and other teams have come up with some really nice solutions, but again, you have to create your use case and then implement it.
So Jagdish, how do you see this as potentially a way in which security should be dealt with or thought of? Is it protective or is it really, how quickly can you get back into business?
Now from a security point of view, the challenge is data is residing somewhere, you're consuming it somewhere else and you need it to be consumed whenever you're not. So instant gratification is the key for a customer and customers have to react to it. The other dynamic which is the most interesting part is 20 years back, anything which is physical is now going to have an IP address. So I'm looking at a light here, 5 years down, I need to look at how this IP address of that light I need to secure. So is it good? Absolutely. I mean, imagine if you could remotely monitor patients and make sure that they are medicated the right way that the doctor would need even in his absence. Absolutely right for humanity, no doubt about that. But imagine the challenge on the security front, that today if you could hack into anything that was physical or they were not designed to be secure, we are not talking about money anymore. I mean, there is a whole lot of cyber security, attractive money out there to make money, but this we are dealing with lives. So that brings in a responsibility to folks like us. And I've realized that, you can't, there is no silver bullet to say that I'm going to protect you. So 99% of the time you'll be protected, but you'll have those unknown threats where it's important, as you rightly said, that can you detect it as it is happening to you in real time and be in a position to recover as quick as possible, which is to correct it. And the organizations who have suffered, the big headlines that you've heard, Target, Home Depot, India, there have been so many instances. The losses that you've heard about has been because the organization didn't even know for days and months that they have been breached, and by the time they realized, they took so much time to recover. So if, as security leaders, we want to really help organizations compress that time of reaction from months to days to probably minutes and seconds, and that's where the real difference is.
So the perspective is about how do you contain your collateral damages, right? So if you can act and contain within the golden hour, perhaps the risk to your organization is minimized, it's not taken away completely, right? Ashok, aerospace, airline, these are the industries which have written the book on security on one hand, but these are also industries which are impacted by security breaches in order to cause colossal damage to the society at large. What is your perspective?
Just to give you an idea of perspective, in 1970 you had about 10 systems, electronic systems on the aircraft. Today you have 150. The interactions are about 10:1, today they are 10:6. So really the transformation has come from the aerospace side, and industry could learn a lot from that. The security aspects are governed by very tight standards, which is the RTC FAA standard, which is DO 178B for software and DO 178A for hardware. The safety aspect is done by quadruplexing. You have multiple systems on board, sometimes with backup, sometimes without backup because you don't need them. It's a question of marrying standards, compliances, safety in a very tightly knit regulatory way.
Abhijit, you're a digital business yourself, you're into digital payments. How do you look at it, number one? What kind of security features did you think were imperative when you launched your product and solution? And secondly, how are you looking at consumers in terms of educating consumers on how should they view digital security?
What's happening in India right now is about scale and unlocking pent-up consumer demand that's basically been stagnant for a half-century. And we've seen a revolution in consumption, we've seen it in transportation, and in our sector it'll happen over the next 24 months. So, and I'll make it real if you permit. Jan Dhan Yojana, right? If we want to actually have financial inclusion in every corner of this country, there are 430 million cards and more bank accounts, but only 1.2 million terminals and 1.5 lakh ATMs. So you have to scale. Now it turns out that the fastest and best way to do it is using mobile and digital services, and hence digital data is going to be a byproduct of that. So this is happening, and if we actually want to scale as a country, which we are going to, we should live with it. So I think the way to think about it is what decisions and choices do we make to optimize in each various sectors. I think the first decision you have to make is, are you going to use common platforms or are you going to build it in-house? Our point of view has always been, and we're going to talk about infrastructure, there are a lot of smart people at different layers in the technology stack that are optimizing and thinking about various problems. So whether it's at the lowest level of protocols that came from the defense industry, which I will concede, but optimized over time, whether it's server-side infrastructure, data security, common platforms that are at the highest best-in-class standards and compliance and regulations are probably the best way to go and the fastest way to scale. Secondly, when we architect our own product, we looked for vulnerability. So again, proactive vulnerability. How do you stop an attack? And also, once an attack goes on, do you have a NOC that's literally in a fail-safe mode that'll shut down very, very quickly? I'll give you an example. We allow people, merchants actually, to take any mobile handset and to complete a financial transaction. It could be an ATM withdrawal, it could be a card payment. When we designed our technology, we had a hardware device that read a card, the application on the mobile, and we had all of our back-end technology, our financial router, if you will, in the cloud. We made a conscious decision that the mobile was vulnerable, and hence made sure that there was absolutely no data in an unencrypted format that could possibly be seen on the mobile. That's actually not common. There's some companies in some countries that actually translate card data, for example, on a mobile phone, and it's actually visible. That's a terrible idea. So if you know where you can control and what you can't control, or what's going to evolve faster than what you can control, you can make smart decisions in your architecture, assume open vulnerability, and then design your systems end-to-end differently.